What's going on, guys? Enzo here from Enzo's Geckos. Today I'm doing a different kind of video. This is a pretty fun one that I've been thinking about doing for a while now, and what I'm doing is a Leopard Gecko Morph tier list. So what I'm doing is I'm using Photoshop to rank my geckos, well, not my geckos, but to rank Leopard Gecko Morphs on what my personal opinion is on how cool I think they are, or how good of a project they are, or just what I think about the morph. This is not supposed to be controversial. This is not supposed to be anything that's going to offend anybody. It's my personal opinion on what I think about the morphs. It is what I like them, why I would work with them, why I wouldn't work with them. It's just a fun thing. I hope you guys get that. It's just a fun thing that I'm working with. It's not supposed to hurt anyone's feelings if they like that morph or they don't. This is just my preference. I also did get photos from other sources. I only use like one of my photos, but I got sources from leopardgecko.com, from GeckoSEtc.com, GeckoBoa, and my buddy SB Geckos. So all of them, I'd like to give a huge thanks to all you guys. I picked out some morphs. Obviously, there's not every single morph. If I did every single morph, it would take a long time to do this video, so I don't want to clutter my screen too much. But as you guys can see here, these are the morphs that we have down at the bottom. I think there's 20-something of them. So I'm going to go and order them what my favorite to least favorite is. So, or not just favorite to least favorite, but best to worst, you know, obviously. So S tier is the best, F tier is the worst. So let's open it right up with something cool like a, oh guys, let's start out with the Eclipse Gene. The Eclipse Gene is a pretty cool one right here. This is a picture of my buddy, oh, so yeah, this is from Iberic Geckos, my buddy Alfonso. So this is his picture. So this is an eclipse. It's also a white and yellow eclipse, but as you can see, the eclipse gene is definitely there in the eye. So, eclipses, let me just make sure it's the right size. Eclipses are pretty cool. If there are other eye genes, that's probably, you know, for as far as eye genes go, that's probably the only eye gene I'd ever consider working with. After I've worked with NDBE, I think that Eclipse is just the best one now. That's the only one I could consider working with. And eclipses are solid. They were pretty much the first different eye gene discovered. So eclipses are a solid B tier. They're pretty cool, but their color does make them get faded out. So with that, now we're going to kick it off to this one. So this one right here, sorry if the photos aren't the best, if they're really small. I can't make every single one big. I'm going to keep them all minimized. But this one right here is a Firewater. Firewaters are really cool. They're growing like crazy in popularity. I think Firewaters are a really good investment. I'm thinking about getting into them, and I think that there's some of those beautiful leopard geckos around. Rainwater Albino is one of the coolest albinos as well. Just like, you know, Tremper and Bell, there's so much you can go with it. And this is the one that we haven't done as much breeding and testing with as Tremper or Bell. So I think this one has a lot of potential. So that's going to be an A tier for me. I really like Rainwaters, and I think there's a lot of ways you can take them. Next, we're going to go with the Cipher. So the Cipher is probably the newest gene in leopard geckos, and it's really cool because it kind of has eye mutation and a stripe on the back, and it's a recessive. So technically it is a genetic stripe, but it also affects eyes. So we'll see about that. I think it's really cool, and there's a lot of potential, but it might be a while before I get my hands on one of these guys. So, you know, I can't rank them too high because of that. So I'm going to give them B tier as well. They're going to be right up there with Eclipse, just with the eye pigment stuff. Alright, next up, we're going to go with Marble Eye. So Marble Eyes are really cool, but I barely know anything about them. I know that they changed the eye. I think this one right here is a Tremper Albino Marble Eye. Not just a normal Marble Eye, but it's from John, and, you know, it's a really good picture. So the Marble Eye looks really cool, but I don't think I'd ever get into them. I'd never ever buy a Marble Eye. I don't think I'd ever breed them or anything. They just don't interest me as much. I feel like eye pigments, the Marble Eye just is very similar to some other stuff. And because of that, I'm going to give it a C tier. I'm not so crazy about Marble Eye. I'm sure like people like Miles has amazing Marble Eyes. His projects are super cool, but it's just not what I'm interested in, mostly. Next up, we're going to go with the Ember. So the Ember is a Murphy patternless Tremper Albino Eclipse, and these guys are triple recessive, but there's not much places you can take them. You can't really get carroting in the tail or anything exciting like that. That's all it is. It's just a triple gene animal. So unfortunately, because of that, and I would never even consider working with a triple recessive animal, just because you pair a triple recessive to another triple recessive, that's all you're getting. Barely going to be any variation. That's pretty much how it goes. So this is going to actually be an F tier, just because Embers is nothing that all the big breeders really want to work with. There's no improvement that you can take it, and that's my favorite thing about leopard gecko breeding is the improvement. So next up is we have a Raptor. So Raptors are awesome. They have the Eclipse gene and Tremper, which are I've worked with before, and I do like Raptors, and I have a couple of them. So Raptors are really cool. They always have a special place in my heart, especially ones with great carrot tail, and that are true Raptors because they're patternless and they've got those beautiful ruby eyes. So Raptors are awesome, but the Eclipse gene does darken them a little bit, so I'm not going to rank them too high. I think it's between A or B. I might have to mess with it at the end, but I am going to have to just let it settle in the B tier. So, wow, you know, I love Raptors, but I can't give them too high. I might move it up to A later, we'll see. Alright, next up, this is a bold bandit. So, it's got bold and it's got bandit, so I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger for you guys so you can see. So this is also from John, and this is just a bold bandit, or, you know, it's from Bandit lines, and it is a bold. So, it's pretty cool. I do like bolds, and bandits are super interesting. Especially the ones that come, you know, because they are on Tremper lines, and those are always cool. But once again, I don't think, in my opinion, there's many places you can take them. You can only breed them so much, and you can only get so much out of them. There's not a lot of projects you can breed them. I would consider bringing them into clowns, but other than that, I can't see a high-end bandit in compared to a very low-end bandit. I don't really see a big difference between the top and low-end morphs of bandits, or bolds. You know, I'm gonna kind of put them both in that category, so that's gonna be an E tier for me. They've never been an interesting thing for me. I might consider incorporating it to my clown project, but other than that, I really don't see much interest in bandits. So after looking at the bandits and the bolds, we're gonna go to lemon frost. Now, lemon frosts are beautiful, don't get me wrong, they are some of those beautiful leopard geckos ever, but if you breed them, I think there's a high chance of tumors. You know, even if there's a 5% chance, that's too high for me. If a leopard gecko is going to lay 100 eggs in its lifetime, to know that 5 of those eggs, if it's, you know, a super lemon frost or whatever, are going to develop tumors and likely die, that just doesn't settle right with me. So I think that they are a problem morph, which is unfortunate, and they're considered pretty unethical to breed. So it's just going to be an F tier for me. I would never put the beauty or money value of a gecko above its health, and I don't think it's right to risk the animal's well-being. Next up, Super Snow Eclipse. These things are beautiful. They're one of the most beautiful morphs anyone has ever seen. By far, they are the cutest morph ever. They've got the solid black eyes and the white face. What else could you want from a gecko? Although sometimes they don't grow really, really well, I know Super Snows or Super Snow Eclipses can have some growing issues. I'm still going to put them at an A tier. I don't think I'd work with them, but they're just so cute. If someone wants a pet leopard gecko, a Super Snow Eclipse is exactly what they're looking for. That's what I think, at least. Alright, red stripes. Red stripes are pretty cool. I've had some red stripes before, and I decided not to work with them because I, once again, didn't see exactly where I could take them. Obviously, the one that in this picture is a pretty high-end red stripe, so, you know, red stripes are nice, but once again, there's just not much variation or places you can go with them, and there's not a lot of demand for them either. People aren't crazy, so they're going to be in the D tier, unfortunately, just because I don't see much use in them. Alright, next up, this is a white and yellow blood, or white and yellow purple head from John, that my buddy Ruckus Geckos, Russell Bug, actually purchased. So this is his animal right here, but I'm going to make it bigger just because this one is absolutely worth it to show you guys. But this gecko is beautiful. As you can see, it's got very high white sides, which does confirm that it is a white and yellow. And white and yellow gene just does so much to a gecko. It really changes how it looks. And this is a very high expression one, and a very high quality one. So white and yellow by itself is a great gene. So this I'm pretty much just going to include as a normal white and yellow. This is the gene that I'm going to, you know, this one's going to represent. Normal white and yellow, unfortunately, I think it goes in C tier just because by itself, white and yellow is okay. But once you combine it with stuff, that's when all the magic happens. So with that being said, we're going to look at this white and yellow Tremper right here. Now this is just a normal white and yellow Tremper albino. There might be some tangerine in there too. But this is from my buddy Sam, SB Geckos. Sam, you're awesome. This is a very beautiful gecko. As you can see, very high white sides. It's super orange and white. It's just amazing. It looks incredible. These guys are awesome, and like I said about the last gecko with the white and yellow gene, it just makes them absolutely unreal. That's going to be our first S tier gecko, going at the very top, white and yellow Trempers. They're incredible. There's so many ways that you can breed them, and they can pop out different, and they can be paired to raptors, produce white and yellow raptors, whatever. I think there's white and yellow Trempers are pretty sick. Next up, radar. Radars are cool. I've never had a Bell Albino that I've bred before or anything, so I haven't been super interested in the Bell Albinos. I think they're beautiful, but just kind of going away from any albinos in general, I'm not really crazy about albinos in general. You know, I've got some Raptor stuff. I'm probably going to get rid of it at the end of the season. So Bell Albinos are cool. The radars are also pretty cool. Depends on how, you know, tangerine they are, in my opinion. But radars are going to get a D just because they're not that amazing, honestly. Next up, NDBE. NDBE looks beautiful, but they also have a lot of problems. Obviously, nothing that is lethal, that will actually harm a gecko and, you know, cause it pain or suffering. But, well, I mean, their eyes can look pretty bad, like mine. Mine had not the best looking eyes. So that's going to be pretty low down there in the E tier because they're not at the very bottom because they are pretty neat, but I wouldn't work with them again. Thank goodness I never bred any, but I'm not so crazy about NDBE anymore. Alright, Diablo Blanco. Now, Diablos have always been a favorite of mine. They pretty much got me into the hobby. I've got to rank it high for that. But like I said about the Ember, they are triple recessive, so you can't really do a lot with them. The same thing I said before. However, a super giant Diablo Blanco, those things are the coolest things ever. So I'm going to give them, oh gosh, it's between C and D. I mean, honestly, it's a triple recessive, so I'm going to have to put it down in D tier, unfortunately. Alright, this is hard for me. This is not easy for me to put these beautiful geckos low because they can't all get an S, you know. Max Snow, just normal Max Snow. This one's a Max Snow Bold from John's lines. It's just a Max Snow. Max Snows don't do that much. I personally don't like Max Snows that much, so they're gonna be all the way at the bottom, you know, at E tier. They're pretty beginner morphs. Next up, Red Diamond. Now, Red Diamonds are awesome. I think Red Diamonds are one of the coolest things ever, and there's so much potential for these guys. They can be crossed into white and yellow, Raptor, Red Diamonds, all that stuff would be really, really cool. So they are going to go all the way up in the A tier. We're going to move over to the Firebolt. So it's a Firebolt. They're one of the coolest things ever. I don't know a lot about them, but the same thing with the Red Diamond. We have just scratched the surface of what Firebolts look like. We can pair them with anything and just get crazy results. So Firebolts are also going to be at A tier because they're just a beautiful line. They really are. Especially the stuff that Chris at Suburban Geckos has done with them. Wow, those are incredible. Oh. Alright, Enigmas. So, here's the thing. Enigmas are beautiful. Enigmas pop out, and it's pretty difficult, if not impossible, to recreate a certain Enigma. But they do have those neurological issues, and I don't support anyone who breeds them. Or at least, you know, maybe I'll support someone who breeds them, but not because they breed them. But I just don't support the breeding of Enigmas, unfortunately. You know, I've owned one. The one I owned didn't have Enigma syndrome or anything. Well, it wasn't mine, but I took care of it for somebody for a little while. But anyway, Enigmas are pretty, but I just don't think they should be bred. So they're going to be a D tier. They're just not the most amazing morph. Well, they probably are the most amazing morph, but their health issues just kind of get in the way there. It's just not good for them. All right, super giant. No question about this. This is S tier. Who doesn't like a big gecko? Nobody. Everyone likes big geckos. These things are incredible. If you've never held a super giant in person, you are missing out. Blue Amber Eye. I don't know a lot about this morph, but like with the other ones, there's a lot of potential once it gets crossed to Bell Albino, Tremper Albino. Once we just see what Blue Amber Eye looks like by itself, so that's going to be pretty high up there in the B tier. I mean, they're just incredible. They are beautiful animals, and I think as we discover more about them and more people breed them, we'll get to know a lot more. Melanistic line. This is a Black Knight, I think, or a Black Pearl. I'm not sure which one this is, but I see a lot of inbreeding with this, unfortunately. Because you want to keep the black going between, you know, parents and kids, you got to inbreed or do some kind of stuff, and there doesn't seem to be as much outcrossing as there should be, so they're going to be in the B tier. Although they're sick, they're not going to be at the very top. And then now the last one is G Project Clown, and this is, instead of using one of my photos, I thought I should use one of John Scarborough from GeckoBoa's photos, because this is a beautiful photo, but that's going to be an S tier. You guys know that I love G Project Clowns, and, you know, these are just one of the most amazing morphs around. They're Sosabek lines, so they're pretty darn cool. But anyway, yeah, guys, I mean, there we go. Here is the complete tier list of leopard gecko morphs, in my opinion. Now listen, this does not cover every single leopard gecko morph. I'm thinking of doing one of just line bred stuff maybe, or just tangerines or something cool like that, because obviously this doesn't include everything. I probably forgot a couple morphs in there as well. It's my personal opinion on what I think about these leopard geckos, on what I'm most interested in. So if you're most interested in one, or if you're not, if you disagree with me, go ahead and leave a comment. Leave a nice one though, because I don't want to read any mean comments about why I chose the wrong gecko or whatever. But anyway, there's the tier list. I'll see you guys next time.